One thing that came out on the video, Joey, was your time in 2018, where you said in the video you were quite adamant in the fact and the difficulties that you faced in 2018 with mental health, with depression, and not wanting to be who you were, and not having the motorcycle racing, and not having the urge to do that.
Yeah.
What happened through 2018? Talk me through that.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of glad you asked me the question, because I feel like now, with the video going out and stuff, there's quite a lot of people now on social media using me as a bit of an excuse for them to be able to open up now, seeing as now I've done it, because no one talks about mental health and whatnot. And if you'd have asked me this question like a year ago or more, I'd have just not answered it. Nothing to do. Don't know what you're talking about, because I didn't want to talk about it. But now I'm kind of happy that I've opened up about it, and I know a lot of the public and stuff have like sort of suffered similar issues, and because I'm open and talking about it, and I'm supposed to be some tough motorbike racer and whatnot, and I can still get depressed and suffer mental health issues, and anyone can. But yeah, 2018 was difficult for me. It was like I was only young. How old was I then? 19-year-old. It saw a lot of stuff that year, with people getting killed and whatnot. And towards the back end of 2018, I don't know what it was now, but at the time I didn't know. I had like serious depression. I couldn't get out of bed on the morning. And for like maybe 2 months, 3 months, I'd literally just stay in bed all day. I'd stopped racing at the time. I said I'd had enough of racing because of like some of the stuff, and just didn't feel right anymore. So I didn't have a job or out, just sort of laying in bed until like 4 or 5 o'clock, and then getting up so no one knew I was depressed. And that cycle went on for, maybe like 3 months, until people started to realise. People started to realise that I was staying in bed and whatnot, and not being my normal self, and just a horrible time, really. And eventually I got persuaded. I can't remember if it was my dad. I was like, look, you have to go to the doctors and tell them what you're feeling. I didn't want to do it because I felt like a lot of people feel I'm not doing that. I'm strong. I'm stronger than that. I don't need to go to a doctor and tell him that I'm feeling down. That kind of attitude. But eventually I got worn down enough to go. And initially I got diagnosed with like PTSD, and basically just told to, here, take these tablets, get out and put up with it, that kind of thing.
Man up.
Yeah.
That worst phrase now.
Given these tablets, which I don't even know what they were now, but like some kind of antidepressants that the give some like soldiers and stuff sometimes when they've seen stuff and they're struggling with life. And they literally just gave me them and said, on your way. And I took them for like 2 months, and then they made me massively worse. Like, I was depressed before, and I was almost suicidal after I started taking these tablets. No, seriously, they were awful. I can't remember what they were called now. But not only, they made me more tired as well. They weren't like, don't know much about antidepressants, but they weren't like one of them ones. They were like ones that made you drowsy and everything.
So they weren't uppers.
Yeah, they were like
downers.
They made you like drowsy and everything, and just didn't do anything. So eventually, we paid like quite a lot of money to go and see like a psychiatrist, a psychologist. Spent hours and hours and hours. Must have had like, it was expensive as well. It wasn't like we were going and seeing like an NHS one or something. It was serious job like. And eventually, after like maybe 5 or 6 sessions with all the stuff we've been doing, he immediately diagnosed me with Asperger syndrome. Made me take all these tests and everything, and so that all came out. And we've already hinted on that, so I don't need to go down that. But then I also got diagnosed with severe depression. Maybe stemmed off the back of witnessing some stuff in 2018, because it was a lot for a young mind. And from then it was kind of like, right, how do we get better? And then he sort of wanted me to go on these other antidepressants and stuff, and I was really against taking pills and stuff like that. But eventually, you start dealing with things a little bit better, and you start understanding why you're feeling down and whatnot. But I was seriously depressed, like not sad, not upset, like I was proper bad for maybe like a full year. And you get stuck in a cycle. And I know there's people listening out there that are either have suffered with depression or suffering with depression now, and you're stuck in a cycle of you like climbing up a ladder. You've almost got your hand on the top, you're almost better, and then you fall back down again. And it always seems like you're in a constant thing, like you're getting better, then suddenly you're terrible again. And a lot of stuff, while I was really depressed, I was still getting like crap on Facebook and stuff about racing and stuff, like people like giving me grief about why I stopped, and I'm, all that kind of stuff. And no one knows what's going on behind the scenes. And I got some seriously like bad messages while I was depressed. And honestly, it makes you worse. It's all right putting your shield up and saying, "Oh, nothing affects me" and stuff like that, but it does, especially when you're already sad. And honestly, I had one message once, I blocked him, but after like retired and stuff and stopped racing and whatever, the guy was like, "I hope you never race again, and like I hate you," and all this kind of stuff.
What?
And honestly, there's some road racing fans out there that are absolutely horrible.
Brutal.
Yeah, I saw something yesterday on Ryan Farquhar. Someone was doing something similar to Ryan Farquhar, and he publicised it. And there is road racing fans out there that literally will message you saying, like, "I hope you die," and stuff like that. Honestly, I swear down, I've received messages like that before.
Absolutely no place. Whether you're the happiest bloke in the world or whether you've got troubles with yourself.
And then that's the worst. I've only ever seen that once, but you used to get like quite a few messages when you were down and shit, like depressed, and people are like, "Oh, just saying like you're rubbish, you're bad."
There's never any reason to send anybody that, ever.
But obviously these people have nothing in their life, and they get a kick out of making someone feel shit, but they don't really see what's going on behind the scenes.
But you're still human.
Yeah, still human.
At the end of the day, you've still got feelings, and that's far too personal.
I know.
For it to happen that way, that's ridiculous.
But anyway, I learned to deal with depression and start building myself back up again. But it all came from having to speak about it in the first place, because I know for a fact I'd be in the exact same situation now, or worse. I'd have, maybe tried self-harming or something like that, which I never actually got around to doing. Never really interested me. I was seriously depressed, but I never really thought about doing anything bad. But I'd still be in the exact same situation now, or worse, if I hadn't have spoke up about it and actually gone and got help. And you have to speak up. And if you are feeling bad, there is help out there. I've had friends and stuff take their own lives due to mental health. And a lot of times these people, you wouldn't even think they had anything wrong with them. They're the most happiest, jolly thing. And I'd much rather have someone ring me at 3:00 in the morning saying, "Look, I'm really down, I'm feeling like this," than them kill themselves. And I think anyone out there would rather receive that phone call than wake up the next morning and your friends taking their own life. So I think let's not be stupid, and let's actually speak about things. If you've got issues, let's talk. And you can't promise much in life, but I can promise you one thing. If you are feeling really depressed and down, and you feel like, your life's over, I can't give you a time scale of when it's going to happen, but there is always light at the end of a tunnel, and things will always get better, but you have to start speaking up.
When did things start to improve for you? When did you understand that there was a problem? It wasn't just life.
Yeah.
That there was a problem. What was the catalyst to start improving?
Well, I went through a lot. I sort of actually came back to racing while I was still depressed, and did the classic TT. Well, I wouldn't say I was massively depressed. I was getting better. It was like what I was saying on that cycle, where I was kind of getting better and better and better and better. Then suddenly you'd have another big sort of like depressive stage, and you're all down again for a month. What changed for me? I can't remember exactly where I was, but I was watching I went to the Northwest in 2019 as a spectator because I'd finished and I was on like antidepressants and whatnot, and not my normal self. And I remember watching it, and I was just emotional and upset because I thought everything was done now. Like I said, I've retired from racing. I've got no bikes. We'd sold the bikes and whatnot. I had nothing. But like racing was finished for me now. And I remember watching it and just being like, I can't believe like I've lost all of this. It was like, didn't cross my mind once that I'd ever come back to racing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just like it was finished now. Like
that's the decision. That's the black and white.
Yeah, black and white. That's it. It's just never going to happen. I'm done. And then maybe about 3 or 4 months later, I can't remember where I was, but I was somewhere. I'd been taking an antidepressant called sertraline, which I'd been on for like over a year. So I was like kind of heavily on this medication now. But there's a lot of people. It's like the most popular antidepressant. It's like the most popular one, really. But once you're on it for that kind of time, you don't really just come off it. It's one of them ones I've had like 3 stages of it. So you like up your dose a little bit more. And what I found with that was, it made me extremely happy when I was happy. But if I was getting down, I'd be even worse than I was before I started taking the medication. And I was so up and down and whatnot. And I can understand why they prescribe it for some people because it gives you a boost, but it wasn't really working for me. But you can't just come off these things. You have to gradually go and speak to your doctor. And I was watching, I can't remember where I was. I wasn't at a race, but I was out somewhere. I might have been at the pub or something, whatever. And like the TT highlight reel came on of racing. And I was watching it, and something clicked in me. I don't know what it was. I was just like, I'm gonna do that again, and no matter what it costs, no matter what it takes, I'm gonna get back to how I was because I'm sick of being like this. I'm sick of being on antidepressants. I'm sick of, just living a normal life. I'm sick of eating unhealthy food and not going to the gym. And I just thought it's time to go. I went straight home. I woke up the following morning, chucked all the antidepressants straight in the bin. I went out and did 100 kilometre ride on my push bike. The bike that I hadn't been out on in like a year. And my dad will tell you the story because he remembers it. He said, he did 100k. I showed him it on my Strava. Yeah. On my Strava app. And he says, you can't come off the antidepressants like that. You're going to go mad. And I said, look, I am. I said, I'm done with it. I'm going to be back, what I used to be. And this is what we're doing.
So from that mindset, it just took that one thing. And everybody's different. It's not going to happen that way for everybody.
I do not recommend stopping your antidepressants. Honestly, you have to consult with doctors and whatnot. But I'd say I'm a little bit different.
It's your decision.
It was my decision, and I was motivated. I remember I was just going to do whatever it takes. Like, don't get me wrong, for maybe like 2 or 3 months after that, I was still feeling like crap because I didn't take these antidepressants and I still wasn't right. But I was using exercise and training as my antidepressant, if you like. I was literally, if I was cycling or going to the gym, and I would absolutely overtrain like crazy. So I was absolutely exhausted. So I literally couldn't. I remember coming down the gym stairs and my legs were just like gone because I would train that hard. But when I got home, I was too tired to think of any depressive thoughts or do out silly. But all I wanted to do when I got home was sleep. And I did the same thing on a morning. I was that tired, but I'd just go straight to sleep, then wake up at 6 o'clock and go back to the gym.
But the endorphins helped incredibly.
Obviously, when you train and doing heavy exercise, you get a massive boost and release of endorphins and a chemical called serotonin in your brain, which is what you're gaining from that sertraline anyway. When you take this antidepressant called sertraline, you're just increasing your serotonin levels in your brain. But you can actually get that from training and doing exercise and other things in your life that give you pleasure as well. You get a release of that. And I kind of just used that and didn't give myself any option at all to be depressed. And that's exactly the same as what I do now. I haven't been, I can just deal with it now. I know that if I start feeling bad about something, I just have to stay active and work towards something. That's why I've always got something going on in the background, whether it's something with my work, whether it's a race that I'm doing on my mini bike, or whether it's preparing for the TT. I'm just always ticking over And that's why, and I think if I can stay like that, always working towards something, I think I'll be depressed free forever. And I think that will be the same with quite a lot of people. I think, if you've got nothing going on and you've given up on stuff, then you are going to be depressed. Because what have you got other than to sit with your thoughts?
It's true.
But yeah, first of all, speak up. And like I say, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Stay active, do some exercise, and you're less of a person for speaking about mental health. No less of a person for owning up to having issues. And it's the biggest, mental health is the biggest killer in men right now. 1 in 3 people suffer with mental health, and it is it's a proper issue. It's not like
it is.
It's not like I keep saying, it's not someone being upset and sad or attention seeking. It's an actual problem. It's a disease going on right now, and we need to speak up. And we need the government and the NHS and whatnot to offer more support for these kind of issues. Like, there was nothing for me when I needed it, other than, like I just hinted on earlier, I went to the doctors and said, take these and bugger off.
Which is no answer.
And that made me worse.
Of course it does.
They could have killed me.
Yeah.
Because they did actually make me worse. So
to put you in an even more difficult position than you already were.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more understanding, and there's a lot more awareness for mental health now, for men's mental health. And I think GPs are far more aware of what's needed and to understand just what men are going through. Because it is the old thing of like, I'll grow a pair.
Yeah.
It's not about that anymore.
It's not.
It's never been it couldn't be any further from that.
The grow a pair is if, you've hurt your leg, or your girlfriend's left you or something. Yeah, you get. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
But there's a difference between that and actually being depressed. And don't get me wrong, people can get depressed from divorces and whatnot. But there's a difference between upset and angry and actually having depression. It's two separate things. If you're upset and down, you can still gain pleasure from other things in life. When you're massively depressed, you'll know it because you don't have nothing's interesting. Like when I was down, I hate racing. Don't want anything to do with racing. The worst thing in the world. But it's actually my favourite thing in the world. But it's
the one thing in the world that you love.
And that's how I kind of sort of realised it, what I was going through.
I think understanding the difference, like you say, when you're angry and upset, you can see that outwardly.
Yes.
Depression isn't outward in a lot of cases. As you said before, that with friends that you've lost and people we know that we've lost, you wouldn't know on the outside.
Yes.
That's where things are the most difficult because
mask it.
Because the signs aren't there because it's so well masked.
Yeah.
How do you cope now? What are your coping mechanisms for when you feel that things might be sort of dipping?
You see, I thought after what happened this year, when I got left with absolutely nothing after the TT, I thought, oh no, this is the worst thing that could have happened, because I had no motorbikes, I had no money because I've already paid it all out. It was like, what am I going to do now? Like, I've just had the biggest buzz I've ever had at racing around with TT, and now you've got nothing again. But I just thought, you just can't cross your mind giving up. You just have to keep, no matter what it takes, you just got to do what you can to make things right. And luckily, I know not everyone's in my position. I mean, Dad helped me out and got me basically our own bike to go racing. But that gave me something to work towards again. But not only that, you just don't give up on when things go bad like that. I didn't stop going to the gym or stop exercising or, just because I got sacked, if you like. I still carried on just as normal, just working towards my own goals, and that helps me. I know for a fact, if for instance, I don't know, TT got cancelled this year and there was going to be no racing at all or whatever, I know for a fact I'd be depressed again because I've got nothing to work towards. I mean, I can try and find something. I'd be able to keep myself occupied somehow with something to work towards, but it'd be a big task, like. So find something for people that aren't sort of into motorsport or whatever. that are struggling. You need to find something that makes you happy, and keep doing it. And do it to the best of your ability, and keeps your mind active. And yeah.
What was the maybe you can answer this question, maybe you can't, I don't know. What was the biggest thing you found out about yourself during that time?
It's a very hard question to ask that, but mainly that I have to be active. Like, I can't deal with not doing anything, and it's the same at home. Like, it is really frustrating, to be honest, because sometimes I'd like to do what everyone else does on a Sunday and watch Netflix all day, and to some people that's a great day. That's a bad day for me. That's me pretty much depressed again, because I've got nothing. I have to be active, whether it's doing things like this, or training, or I'm getting one of my bikes ready to go racing, or even if it's something as simple as, going out for dinner with family and then, doing something else. But I have to have constant things to keep my mind active. And that is my antidepressant now. I haven't taken an antidepressant or anything like that in about 2 years now. And I'm so much better than what I was. And I'm better than what I was before I even went into that stage, because I know how to deal with things. I can control my own emotions a bit better. Sometimes life gets on top of you, but that's when you've got to do the things that help you in that situation. Like, it could be different for anyone else, but for me, it's exercising or riding a bike or something like that.
How much, I know we touched on it earlier on in the chat, but once the diagnosis with the Asperger's came in, was that also part of your journey to coming back to happiness again?
I'd say it was a start, but then there was still a long road after that.
Yeah.
There was still maybe another 6 months after that where I was still like heavily on these antidepressants and whatnot, and still really down, and still not really had any interest for racing or anything like that. It was just one of them times that you just did what you needed at that time to get by. Like, still, I had to start working. Working as little as possible, and then just going home and eating and having a few beers.
Just existing.
Yeah, just existing, and that's the worst thing. Maybe some people it might be all right, but that's the worst thing possible for me.
The difference between living and existing.
Yeah. I suppose that's a really fitting sort of quote, if you like, for that. And for me, I just can't deal with that. I've done it before. Like I say, in that time, I've had all that where I've just been lazy and I'd takeaway every night and didn't do any exercise and went out drinking Friday night and Saturday night, and I got carried out of bars and all that and got into fights.
The winter scene, here at Castleford at Escape.
And I think you soon realise that isn't what you want. Might be good life to some people, but I've had that and I don't want that. I want to be a road racer. I want to be a motorcycle racer, and I want to help people as well by especially talking about this. And that's the kind of person that I am. I don't want to just get by, if you like. I want to do something good.
Well, at the end of the show, we'll pass out on your social media tags.
Yes.
So if anybody if anyone wants to get in touch who might be, not having the best of times.
Yes.
Are they okay to get in touch?
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. Have had quite a lot of messages recently. A lot of them have going to the filtered inbox and stuff on Instagram. But I'll do my best to get back to you. And if also anyone's struggling, there's a lot of pages out there. There's Mental Health Motorbike, which is a good charity, and they're open to get in touch with them. And there's also your generic charities and organisations like Mind and stuff. And there's lots out there. You just need to look for it. And
it's out there. And if you want to get in touch with the podcast, get in touch with me. I can put you in touch with Joey. There's so many ways. We're all open to listening. Yeah. But as you say, we've signed up for the mental health motorbike training course.
Yes.
In March. So we're on that back end of March. We've got 4 training sessions with them.
Right.
And looking forward to being part of that and being able to help people going forward, because it is important. And it is a friendly face and somebody you can just go like, Joey, I'm struggling, mate. What can I, Dave, have you got a minute?
Yeah.
Always got a minute.
Yeah.
Especially for that.
Yes.
Always got a minute. Joey, thank you.
No problem.
That's
no problem.
I really appreciate you opening up on that, because it's not an easy part of your life, and I thank you for trusting me.
No, it's good. It's like I said earlier, I think like a year or 2 ago, or maybe even 6 months ago, I just would not talk anything about it because it was my own personal troubles, and I still felt a little bit like, don't want to talk about it because people think I'm a weaker person, but I've soon come to realize that it's not. And there's so many people out there struggling, and you're not a weaker of a person. If I can open up and do this, road racer and whatever stereotype people try and make, road racers to be, and I can suffer with it and speak about it, then anyone can. No matter what you do, you can open up about it. So, and that's what we need to do.